time doesn't wait. It doesn't bargain. It doesn't slow down because we're not ready. But here's the secret most people miss. Transformation doesn't ask time for permission. The fastest shift doesn't come from hurrying. It comes from stepping out of time into the still point that lives inside you. Imagine a pendulum swinging left and right. If you stare at the swing, change looks slow, predictable, inevitable. But look closer. There's an unmoving axis, the point from which the pendulum hangs. That still point is where the real power lives. You don't change the world by pushing the swing harder. You change it by meeting the axis and shifting the whole system from there. We're taught to think of change as a mountain climb long enough. Strain hard enough, and eventually you'll summit. And yes, there are seasons for effort. But every mountain has a hidden doorway, a narrow pass that most people never see, because they're hypnotized by the idea that it has to take time. What if that belief is the slowest thing about your life? The paradox is simple. The more you chase speed, the slower you feel. But the moment you enter the still point, speed becomes irrelevant. Decisions land, emotions settle. The body listens. The field around you, however you name it, seems to rearrange itself with surprising ease. It's not magic. It's alignment. You've felt it before. The moment you finally chose, the breath you didn't know you were holding, the phone call you made that changed everything. Life pivoted, not next month, not next year now. Those instant moments weren't accidents. They were brief visits to the axis. Here's what we'll do together. First, we'll unlearn the reflex that says change takes time. Then, we'll meet the mechanics of fast shifts, how thought, feeling, and physiology snap into a single, coherent message. Next, we'll practice one simple technique, a 3-part breath you can use anywhere, in minutes, without props or rituals. Finally, we'll take this out of the studio and into real life, so it becomes your baseline, not just a morning routine. And throughout, we'll make a quiet promise we will keep it simple, not because simplicity is trendy, but because complexity has been your camouflage. 10 steps feels safe because you can always say, I haven't reached step 7. One breath gives you nowhere to hide. You either enter coherence or you don't yet. So before we go further, try this. Feel your feet on the floor. Notice where your breath lands in your body. If it sits high in your chest, let it fall a little lower. No force, just gravity. That small shift is the doorway cracking open. In the next minutes, you'll see how alignment works and why the still point isn't a metaphor. It's an experience you can enter. You're not here by accident. The fact that these words met your attention means the doorway already found you. The only question left is simple. Will you step through? Keep listening. The mechanism is about to click into place. If you've ever watched 2 tuning forks strike one, and the other begins to sing, you've witnessed resonance. No training, no delay. When 2 things share a frequency, response is immediate. Your inner world works the same way. When your thoughts, emotions, and physiology line up, your system sings one clear note. That note is coherence. In everyday terms, coherence feels like this. Your mind stops arguing with your body, and your body stops resisting your intentions. Heart rate settles, breath deepens, focus sharpens. You stop leaking energy into doubt and second-guessing. Instead, your whole system broadcasts a single message. Science and lived experience both point toward this. Research suggests the brain is plastic. It changes structure and function with experience. When you feel and focus with intensity, The brain can rewire quickly. We could argue about mechanisms all day. But here's the practical truth. You can use your attention plus elevated emotion. Create conditions where new patterns take root faster. Laser and light, another picture. Ordinary light scatters. A laser is coherent, every photon aligned. That's why it cuts steel. Coherence is power, but it needs direction. Without focus, coherence is just a warm glow. With focus, it becomes a beam. Let's make this personal. Think about a moment you decided, truly decided. You left the job, you made the call, you said enough. Before that, your mind analyzed, your body braced, your stomach tightened. Then click, something aligned. The story you told yourself, the feeling in your chest, the way you stood in your own skin, they matched. In that moment, someday died, only now remained. That's coherence in human language. There's also a flip side you already know: memory. Recall a painful memory and your body reacts before you finish the thought. Heart rate up, muscles tense, stress chemistry on command. The body doesn't always wait for new events. It responds to inner signals as if they're real. If the body can relive stress in an instant, it can also embody gratitude, courage, or relief in an instant when you feed it the right signal. So what blocks this scatter? Mixed signals. Wanting peace while rehearsing worry. Wanting confidence while narrating failure. When you broadcast two stations at once, you get static. The practical goal is simple: reduce static. Increase signal. We do this by aligning 3 dials. 1. Thought, the story you choose to hold. 2. Emotion, the feeling that energizes that story. 3. Physiology, the breath and posture that carry the message through your body. When these 3 dials point in the same direction, your system locks like gears finding their teeth. That lock is the doorway, and you don't need an hour to find it. You need quality of attention, intensity over duration. We'll use one tool to get there: heart-focused breathing paired with a felt state and a single point of focus. It's not mind over body, it's mind with body. One more note before we practice: keep the language humble and useful. It's tempting to claim proof for everything. You don't need that. You need results you can feel. Use the metaphors as bridges. Use the breath as the key. Use your body as the instrument. Then listen for the note. In a moment, we'll play it together. If the field isn't slow, why do our lives feel slow? Because delay hides in familiar places. Doubt, distraction, and the quiet belief that it takes time. That belief sounds wise. It's also a thief. Imagine planting a seed and digging it up every hour to check for roots. That's what doubt does. The soil could sprout it, but your interference keeps resetting the process. In human terms, you set a direction on Monday, question it on Tuesday, reverse it on Wednesday, and call it research. There's a loop here: expectation, attention, experience. Expect difficulty, and your attention searches for friction. Find friction, and it confirms your expectation. The loop locks. It isn't superstition, it's selection. We notice what fits our story. How do we break the loop with a pattern interrupt and a new single point of focus? Think of the laser again. Coherence without focus is a pleasant glow. Focus without coherence is a harsh stare. You want both ordered energy aimed at one reality. Here's the interrupt: 3 words. Not later. Now. Say them softly when your mind wanders to timelines. Not later. Now. This isn't a command to force outcomes. It's a reminder to choose your state, because your state steers your day more than your plans do. Let's reframe distraction. Your mind isn't the enemy. It's a spotlight that loves novelty. Give it a clean target. Choose one state at a time: calm, gratitude, courage, relief. Name it. Feel it. Breathe it. If you try to anchor 5 states at once, you'll anchor none. And about doubt, you don't remove doubt by arguing with it. You starve it by feeding your body a different signal. When your breath slows, your shoulders drop, and your chest softens. Your nervous system hears. We're safe. From safety, doubt gets quieter on its own. Think of one moment this week when you felt scattered. Emails talking, notifications tapping, body clenched. What would have happened if you took one deep, heart-focused breath, named your chosen state, and held your gaze on a single object for 12 seconds? Not a life overhaul, 12 seconds. The body would have shifted. The day might have followed. Let's also name a tender truth. Complexity is comfortable. 10 steps let us postpone. 1 breath asks us to act. That's why simplicity feels dangerous. It removes our favorite excuse time. When you realize that state can change now, responsibility returns to your hands, not in a heavy way, in a powerful way. So here's the bridge to our practice. Decide your target state before you breathe. Pick one. Gratitude is gentle. Courage is steady. Relief is spacious. Choose it now so your breath has a job. In the next segment, we'll put it all together. Breath, feeling, focus in a simple sequence you can memorize in minutes. 3 breaths, 3 times a day. Enough to move you from waiting to choosing. Not later. Now. We'll learn this once so you can use it anywhere on a train, between meetings, before a hard conversation. Step 1. Inhale into the heart. Place a hand over the center of your chest, where you can feel your heartbeat. Imagine the breath flowing gently into that space, as if your heart itself were breathing in light. Inhale for a gentle 4 count. No strain. Let the chest rise from the inside. Step 2. Hold in stillness. Pause for a count of 4. Not rigid, simply quiet. Imagine the world pausing with you. This is the axis. Step 3. Exhale with the feeling you choose. As you breathe out for 6 to 8 counts, generate the exact feeling that matches your chosen state: gratitude, calm, courage, relief. Don't think the word. Feel the body version: warm chest, soft jaw, grounded legs. Now add focus. During the exhale, give your mind a target, not the absence of what you want, but the frequency of having it. If it's abundance, feel ease in your ribs, spaciousness in your schedule, generosity in your posture. If it's love, feel warmth on your skin, a smile starting without reason. If it's freedom, feel breath moving all the way down to your belly, as if the room just got bigger. That's 1 breath. Do 3 in a row, then let go. Do this 3 times a day: morning, midday, evening. It's not the minutes. It's the intensity of presence. Tips to make it stick. Name the state out loud in a whisper. Gratitude. The body likes instructions that are simple and kind. Anchor a cue. Choose a physical object: your watch, a ring, the corner of your laptop. Every time you see it, take 1 heart breath. Write the sentence, "I breathe my future into the now." Place it where your eyes land often. Seeing it is a micro practice. What should you feel? Often. The first sign is subtle shoulders lowering, tongue softening, the forehead smoothing. Then, attention gathers. Distraction fades without a fight. A quiet already begins to replace the old someday. What if you feel nothing? That's okay. Results aren't always loud. Keep the form gentle and precise. The body learns quickly when you stop forcing it to hurry. And what if life interrupts? That's the whole point, because life will interrupt. The phone rings, the child cries, the email arrives, traffic stalls. These aren't mistakes in your practice. They are the practice. Perfect. Use the interruption. One conscious breath in the middle of chaos is worth 10 on a yoga mat. You're training your nervous system to choose state under pressure. That's where the shortcuts live. Why? Because that's when your nervous system learns choice. It learns that calm isn't something you visit. It's something you can return to, even when the world is loud. When you breathe in those moments of pressure, you're rewriting your body's default settings. You're teaching it that safety doesn't depend on silence, that peace doesn't require perfect conditions. You're proving, breath by breath, that coherence can exist in motion, that alignment can happen in the middle of noise. That's where the real shortcut lives, not in escaping life, but in meeting it with awareness. Every interruption becomes an invitation to pause, to feel, to choose again. Repeat after me softly. Inhale into the heart. Hold in stillness. Exhale with the feeling I choose. Focus on the already done. That's the technique. Short enough to remember. Strong enough to move you. The point isn't to add one more ritual to your crowded mornings. The point is to change your baseline, the state you live in, by default. There's a principle in neuroscience, often summarized as Hebb's law neurons, that fire together, wire together. In practice, every time you pair heart-focused breath with a chosen feeling and a clear focus, you lay another strand of the same pathway. Repeat it, and your nervous system goes from new and fragile to familiar and strong. This is why a single second of full embodiment can outweigh an hour of distracted practice. Quality over quantity, intensity over duration, coherence over trying. Let's put a simple frame around your day. Morning 3 breaths to set the compass. Choose one word for the day: calm, clarity, courage. Midday 3 breaths to return to the axis, especially after meetings or news that scatters you. Evening 3 breaths to close the loop. Teach the body that safety and gratitude are your last messages before sleep. What happens when you keep this promise for a week? Little alignments start showing up. You think of someone and they text. An email you dreaded flows easily. A conversation softens. The logical mind calls it coincidence. Call it what you like. What matters is this: your inner broadcast changed, and your outer day followed. Here's a small story. A woman I worked with was stuck in a loop, too many tasks. Not enough time. Constant tightness in her chest. We didn't add a single hour of routine. We added 3 heart breaths, 3 times a day, and one rule when the body slumped. She stood, placed a hand on her chest, and named one state relief. In 2 weeks, her calendar didn't shrink, but her day got lighter. 2 stuck projects moved. A helpful person appeared. Nothing mystical, just a different signal, sent consistently. Simplicity will test you. The mind likes complex ladders because you can always avoid the top rung. This shortcut removes ladders. It offers a door. You either walk through or you don't today. That's not pressure. That's freedom. If you slip, good. Notice it without drama. One breath is all it takes to return. Over time, you'll spend less energy getting back and more time simply being there. That's when people feel your presence before you speak. That's when your words carry weight, not because they're loud, but because they're coherent. Remember the field life, reality. The world responds to state more than to schedule. Choose your state first. Let your schedule serve it. This is the quiet revolution. Not harder, clearer, not faster, truer, not more time, more now. Speed still belongs to clocks. What we're practicing lives beyond clocks. Think of the times you've been in flow reading, running, creating, and an hour vanished. You didn't move faster. Time simply got quiet. In those moments, you weren't waiting for life. You were inhabiting it. Some scientists call this transient hypofrontality. It sounds complex, but it simply means that the part of your brain that constantly measures, plans, and judges begins to relax. The prefrontal cortex, which usually acts like the conductor of your mental orchestra, softens its grip. When that happens, time perception fades. The voice that keeps score, how long has it been? Am I doing this right? Goes silent. And in that silence, something extraordinary happens. The rest of the brain starts to synchronize. Areas responsible for creativity, emotion, and intuition begin to light up together. The mind stops being a critic and becomes a participant. You felt it before when you were so absorbed in painting, dancing, writing, or laughing with someone you love that an hour felt like a single breath. Time dissolved, and you didn't care. You weren't escaping life. You were completely alive in it. That's transient hypofrontality in everyday language. The brain stops tracking time because the body and attention have merged into one coherent state. Spiritual traditions call it presence. Meditation, prayer, chanting, or even mindful walking were all designed to quiet that same controlling region of the brain. Different words, same doorway. Science calls it flow. Mystics call it surrender. Artists call it inspiration. But the experience is identical, a state where awareness widens, where now feels infinite, generous, and alive. In this state, you don't wait for life to happen. You realize life is already happening through you. When you breathe into the heart, feel your chosen state, and hold a clean focus, you train your body to enter that doorway on purpose. The result isn't always fireworks. Often, it's steadiness. You stop negotiating with your day. You meet it. And strangely, life starts meeting you halfway. Here's a gentle image light leaving a distant star and landing in your eye. For the photon, there's no experience of time, just the journey, whether or not you like the physics. The metaphor serves when you live as if the good you're calling in is already in your nervous system. Waiting dissolves. You stop reinforcing not yet. You start broadcasting already. So let's anchor this in one sentence. Say it softly. Maybe even type it below to make it real. I breathe my future into the now. It's not a slogan. It's an instruction to your body. Breathe. Feel. Focus. Embody. If you want help keeping the promise, I created a simple companion, a short guide that walks you through the 3-breath practice, with prompts for morning, midday, and evening, plus a 1-page rescue script for stressful moments. If it serves you, take it. If not, take the practice. Either way, take your now. Before we close, try one last round with me. Inhale into the heart for 4. Hold for 4, quiet and kind. Exhale for 8 with the feeling you choose. Whisper the word. See one small task done with ease. Let your shoulders drop. That's the doorway. You just used it. Here's the choice that changes everything. Don't wait for time to approve your transformation. Approve it with your state. Approve it with your breath. Approve it with the way you sit in your own life. And when you forget, and you will remember how close the shortcut is, one breath away, one word away, one still point away. Time will pass anyway. But who you are now decides what that time becomes. Don't chase speed. Choose coherence. Live the frequency you wish to meet. The rest tends to meet you. I'll see you on the other side of your next breath.